a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Welcome to the Restricted Section, the podcast in which I am breaking up with Harry Potter, and it's the most necessary breakup I've ever been through, including Matt. Hey listeners, you may have noticed that my microphone is facing the wrong way. Don't worry, this will be remedied in due time, sooner rather than later. If you haven't done the reading, don't worry, we did it for you. Here's what we're talking about this week. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 28, Flight of the Prince, in which Snape reveals that he's the Half-Blood Prince and very literally gets away with murder. I'm your host, Christina. My co-host today is Andrew. Say hello to the listeners, Andrew.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. And our special guest today is Zach, host of Belated Binge podcast. Say hello to the listeners, Zach.
Hi.
How the hell have you been since you were on for... Weren't you on for one of the last chapters of the last book, too?
I was. It seems to be a theme.
Yeah, you're a closer.
I'll take it. I assume that means that what I bring to your podcast is of such high quality that you want to make sure that it is near the climax of the book.
It's true. No, it's true. And also, I think that during the climaxes, I need someone who's willing to like stop every sentence and be like, so what exactly is going on here?
That may need to happen a lot in this particular chapter, because what in the actual fuck is going on in most of this chapter?
Right.
Running. Both from demons and towards catastrophes, so...
So much running.
It's literally like an 80s like morning cartoon, right? Because like you could tell that they were trying to save on the story budget, so they just keep cutting to running at different points, and they're like, no, we can use that clip one more time, it's fine. Everyone's like, I don't know, he's been running pretty much the entire time. Yeah, it's fine. Now he's running by Hagrid's hut, so...
It's like that bit from The Holy Grail where he's running and he's running
yeah,
and never
exactly.
gets any closer.
Now I'm just disappointed there was no anvil falling out of the sky or a grand piano falling off of Hagrid's hut. None of that happened. That's really unfortunate.
No Frenchmen flopping their hands on top of this hut.
So Zach, tell me, where does Half-Blood Prince fall into your ranking of Harry Potter books?
It's the best book, and I will not be told otherwise.
Oh,
Ooh.
Love it. I love the confidence. Do you want to elaborate?
This is the book that it's the only one that I would just go back to and just like read as a standalone book in the entire series. It also culminates like the main portion of the spot in the series that is my favorite to go back to and just like read through to the end. We actually discussed that spot in the last time that I was on this podcast. Oh. It's at the very end of Order of the Phoenix when Dumbledore comes in and just rounds everybody up like, you know, a lasso. The
only one he ever feared.
That is the one.
Oh, yeah. And you were on that one, Zach. Why did I think we recorded with somebody else that doesn't?
Because I'm very forgettable. But my that's my favorite point in the series, to just like jump in and then finish it out, because I feel like that's when it just kind of like, you know, is
depressing.
The shit's like really shit just got real. Yeah. And it's like moving to the crescendo, if you will. And Half-Blood Prince, to me, Half-Blood Prince is it's the like detective book. I love the memory scenes with Dumbledore, all of the investigative nature. Like one of my favorite TV show genres is like cop drama type stuff. And so this is the cop drama book of this series. If you wanted to make Law and Order as a spin-off thing, I would be totally down.
Oh my God, that's
to
so
do
funny.
Not my idea. Yeah, not my idea. I cannot claim it, but I would watch it.
Pretty solid.
It's also, I think we'll probably get into it, but this chapter is one that I always forget is a chapter. Like, I always think it's just like a piece of
another chapter.
Yeah, like the previous chapter is where Dumbledore dies, and then the following chapter is where he's like in the hospital wing and like telling the story and basically I told you so-ing everybody. And this stuff happens in between, and I always think that it's just like part of those two. I forget it's a standalone thing. And it's also the chapter that I think kind of breaks the book series kind of completely, which I hope to get into at some point in time. So I'm a huge fan of this book. I love it in this chat, despite the fact that I think this chapter breaks the series.
Cool. I love that. I've been enjoying this book a lot. Andrew, you were on for the first chapter of this book, The Half-Blood Prince, and you will not be on again until our group therapy. So far, what's a pulse check on how you're feeling compared to when we first started reading it?
I don't know, to be honest. The reread has been kind of traumatic, like looking at it in a much more scathing, posture. But I do think of the books, it's kind of come out the least affected by that, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It has enough, because it's not just like a typical, it's not like other Harry Potter books. It's it's
a very special book.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same. There's something about the pacing and about the overall like feeling about it that it feels more mature. It feels more, like you said, it's almost like a gumshoe book, right? Like an old school like detective novel at points. It's very different, and it's entertaining in a way that I don't think they were for a couple of books now.
I think it has an incredible balance of the teenage like nonsense at school drama happening alongside the arc of, hey, we also eventually have to kill a serial killer, and that kind of is a big deal.
Yeah.
And we're really actually making steps towards that. It's the first book where Dumbledore and Harry are actually working together towards that common goal, and it is happening alongside like, oh, hey, by the way, Ron's getting laid over here, and that's a big problem for Hermione. And like, and that stuff just sort of like, it balances up. Plus, like, Ginny's actually awesome in this book, despite the movie's best efforts to make sure that she's terrible. She's really, really great in this book. So it's just it's a good, fun, balanced book. And if you're, as I know you are, into the whole Harry Draco obsession piece, you get plenty of that too.
I'm into it. There's no denying it. Like, this book is the gayest thing I've ever read with my own two eyes. Okay, well, fuck yeah. Let's get into it. Let's get into the chapter. Andrew, I'll circle back on that question in our group therapy episode. How about that?
Okay.
I'll remind you of whatever you said when I asked you in the pregame episode.
Whatever.
Please remember what you said.
So, yeah, today we're talking about the Flight of the Prince. So, who remembers what happened last week on Harry Potter?
Nothing big. Kind of
Dumbledore
a throwaway episode, really,
Who's Dumbledore?
Dumbledore died, and I'm not going to stop quoting my friend Becca. Quote, this one's going to look really bad for Snape. They're going to be really mad at him.
Not as mad as the people outside of the Barnes and Noble that had the car driving by. Snape killed Dumbledore!
Oh my god. Oh my god.
They're more mad.
Yeah.
They're still mad.
Just throwing it out there, too, that was a much more universal experience than people thought. It was not limited to one place that people drove by.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't understand what's wrong with people.
Well, you got to remember, I think a lot of them were just guessing here, right? Because, like, people figured either Dumbledore's going to die or someone big has got to die, right? Like, we're going into the 6th book. Someone big is going to die by the end of it. That's just the pattern of, like, the narrative arc. So, like, it was pretty obvious who the most, like...
Who needs to get nerfed.
Who needs to get nerfed, yeah.
Yeah, and this is when I realized my microphone was facing the wrong way. It's like, how are we going to enjoy Harry's success in the final book if Dumbledore's telling him what to do the whole time?
Right. Then he never actually achieves it on his own. He's just a very good instruction follower. Like, that's not a hero. That's a bureaucrat. Yeah.
It's actually in this chapter, too, the immediate quote and sentence that explains exactly why Dumbledore had to die exists in this chapter that we're about to discuss.
Okay, so let's get into it. The last thing that happened is Dumbledore got hit with Snape's Avada Kedavra curse, and he flew off the side of the tower.
Severus, please.
I'm affected. Right now, I'm affected. And I spent all day today editing last week's episode. So I'm just
you're
living in this...
thoroughly depressed.
Yeah, like I'm living in this hell where Dumbledore's always dying. It's like all day long he's been like hovering about to drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in the most graceful arc possible.
So graceful, like a phoenix.
So you're like Harry in this moment, who's just like, I have to get to Snape and bring him to Dumbledore, and that's going to undo everything.
It's going to undo everything.
And if I can touch the matter to the antimatter...
Control Z, Control Z, Control Z.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Command Z? Are y'all Apple people?
No, I'm not an Apple person. I mean, I have an iPhone, but...
I have an iPhone, an iWatch, an iPad, but I'm not really an Apple person. I
can't do a Mac computer for sure. So, the Dumbledore has just died. I can't get past this part of the this is before this chapter even starts. Dumbledore has just died.
Yep.
Harry, I'm screaming. I can hear it echoing in my ears. Harry is no longer paralyzed, which I think that we all, even though he doesn't really take a second to process that, I think we all know that it's because the caster has died.
Yeah.
The Death Eaters leave the tower, and Harry runs after them. He gets the last Death Eater with Petrificus Totalis, the classic non-killing good guy spell.
And he runs. He runs so far away.
He really
runs
does.
A ton.
He's running.
Runs a ton. Now, you mentioned that he didn't take a second to think about it, which he brings up later, is like he knew in that moment. But is that true? Like,
I think what am I trying to say? Are you talking about the trope that when a magic caster dies, their spells go away?
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking of is in this, like, wouldn't there be other ways that it could be lifted other than Dumbledore being dead? Like,
yeah, like if Dumbledore lifted it.
Yes.
or like like if he just like broke his concentration on it, like those types of things. I guess I don't understand the lore well enough to say like, well, it must be because he was dead.
I don't think it's as much a lore thing. I think it's more. This is what the story. Well, I mean, there's.
I guess Draco's held on Harry.
Been there that like if you're casting a concentrated spell, But
I've definitely read other works where a magic user dies and their spell disappears. Can I tell you what those works are? No, because I've read fucking like 5,000 books in my life. Yeah. And at least half of them have been fantasy.
Yeah,
but I urge any of my listeners to please hit us up, and you can tag all three of us in the Discord if you have any other examples, because I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with when the caster dies, the magic dies. That part does, but it just hit me where it was like, well, that must be the explanation. He must be dead, and I'm like, would there be no other way for it to break other than him to be dead?
I just feel like the circumstances are giving death.
Like,
yeah, and I think there's supposed to be kind of an analogy to like a year ago at this time when Sirius went through the veil, he was like denying it constantly, right? Like, He was like, he can't be dead. He can't be dead. He can't be dead. He can't be dead. This is a Harry that is a year older and is much more ready for like the fights that are about to come. And he's like, not only can he be dead, he is definitely dead.
He's probably dead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about this chapter is like we're inside his head as he's coming to that realization, right? Because he starts off just like no way. Like I said, I got to go get to Snape and I got to get to Dumbledore. If I can get the two together, it's going to go like that's his immediate thought. But by the end of the chapter, he's completely accepted it as fact. He's like, nope, he's in a lump on the ground.
Dead. Yeah. Yep.
It's kind of wild.
It is really wild. Harry runs out into the school, into the fray. There's like an open battle. That's cool. That's a cool place for that.
Spoilers.
What?
For another big
cool
open
place
battle.
For a battle.
Yeah.
I'm already preparing for that to be a 3-hour episode. It's such a it's literally at least the 30-page long chapter. Like it goes on forever. The DA is out of bed and they're fighting. The Order of the Phoenix is fighting the Death Eaters, and it's really, really hectic. Everyone evil is fat. In case you need to know who the evil ones are, they're the fat ones. They're just like flomping around with their pig faces or whatever. I wish I was joking, but like there literally is a line about like this guy laughs like a pig or whatever. And I'm like, hey man, I got friends who laugh like pigs. Like it doesn't mean he's evil. Why is this the only thing about this character? He's a giant person who laughs like a pig. It was something like a pig.
How well do you know your friends? Maybe they're evil.
They're evil. Oh my God, this explains so much.
That would not be the most surprising thing ever.
So he's chasing Snape towards the front door. He's free. This is going to be the shortest recording, guys. Everything happens so quickly in this.
It's a really fast chapter.
I know. He is chasing Snape toward the front door. He's like, get out of my way. People are like, Harry, Harry. And he's like, fuck off.
Yeah, he's just straight up mowing people down, too. Like, he just does not give a fuck. This is the first time that Harry acknowledges, like, my mission is so much more important than the rest of you all.
Yeah.
That
all you guys fuck off.
You all keep doing your not me things, and I'm going to chase after the former potions master because I need to...
I'm going to save you all.
Yeah. I've got a saving people thing.
Yeah.
I like that he gets moments, though. He gets moments to notice, like, his friends, like in key situations where like Ginny's there. I also got completely taken out of the chapter when listening to the audiobook, and she sounded like some combination of Snape and Greyback when she was, Harry, where did you come from? And the way that it was said, it was like, Harry, where did you come from? And I'm like, that's Ginny?
Ginny's been spoken
since when?
He loses track. There's too many.
Ginny's been just smoking Cowboy Killers for the last 3 years or so. 2 packs a day.
For those who like aren't American, that's I was gonna say that's a euphemism for. Is it specifically Reds?
Yeah, Marlboro Reds.
Yeah, cigarettes. It's cigarettes.
Those are very, very popular amongst my group growing up.
Same.
They also, they leave a mark. Anyways.
I think
death.
Reds are so fucking nasty. They do. Yeah. They leave a dark mark over you. That's for sure.
They do. Which happened in this chapter too. But I like that he gets that moment with Ginny and she's like, dancing and doing fun things, and he just like whacks dude in the face with whatever. It's just a hex apparently. Which also, by the way, took me out of the chapter. The hexes, I'm using quotes that Death Eater was using towards Ginny, were freaking Crucio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was noticing too that like a lot of the language about magic in chapters like this is so weird and like inconsistent. And there's a lot of like, it's like half the team is throwing killing curses. The other half is like doing like a dancing forever curse. And like, what is a hex? Like, what is a curse? What's a jinx? Why are only 3 of them illegal?
Yeah, it's and I know that there are Harry Potter nerds that are like, no, these are the rules. And I'm like, this chapter does not know the rules, and neither do I after reading it. But
right.
I like that he got that moment to see her kind of like in her element, and she was like doing cool shit because she's actually awesome.
And, she does not need no man.
And how he like trips over Neville and has a moment to like check on Neville. And he's like, I'm all right. Snape and Draco, they went that way. And he's like, I know, I'm on it. And then he, whacks another person in the face with a hex of some sort and just takes off running again. We're running again.
He does jump over 2 downed bodies, and he's like, no time.
We
No
will
idea
process this emotionally later. Let's go.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is. There's so much going on. He chases Snape and Malfoy all the way down on the grounds toward the gates. And so, like, the Death Eaters are trying to apparate away. They need to get outside the school's borders, which have no...
We've all been there.
Security on them now because Dumbledore took all of the security away on his way in. I don't know if it would hold them in, but maybe it could have.
Which is also sort of weird to me. I know that... Didn't you read Hogwarts of History? Says that you can't apparate in and out of Hogwarts, but I also...
It says you can't. It doesn't say anything about Albus Dumbledore.
Well,
True
right.
that.
But Dumbledore was able to lift that particular enchantment for their apparition lessons in the Great Hall.
Yeah.
So my question is, if the headmaster of said school just got murdered, can you still not apparate in and out
Great
of Hogwarts?
question. Because we were talking in the last chapter, or maybe the one before, about how he is like taking down all of these protections as he's flying into the school. Like, he obviously personally maintains a lot of the magic of this school.
Yes.
So
here's my personal like pocket theory, right? Like my headcanon.
Okay.
I like pocket theory better. Can you just leave it?
No,
pocket
I just
theory?
taught Andrew the word headcanon like 2 weeks ago.
I've known headcanon for a long time.
I taught you what it was on the show.
So like in British monarchy, right? There's this theory that the moment that one monarch dies, that instant, right? The spirit of monarchy itself and like the idea of the ruler of Britain and all of its outlying, colonies instantly transfers to the next in line, right? Like it is an instantaneous moment. And I think that the leadership of Hogwarts works on the same principle. The moment that like a leadership, that the top leader of Hogwarts is taken out for whatever reason, it's like before the next breath is taken, the deputy whatever is...
So are you saying that McGonagall knew Dumbledore was dead before she ever found out because she like felt all this magic like shift onto her?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool as hell.
I like that in concept too.
And then in the next book, when she rouses all of the statues, which I'm weeping, and like maybe that's because she still like inherently had like the power of the school behind her.
Because the school recognizes the actual transference of the power as opposed to like the fake bullshit.
It didn't let Umbridge.
So that would be my personal theory right there.
Okay, I'm buying it.
I'm
picking up what you're laying down.
I'm not going to take us off on this particular side tangent, but
Sounds like you are.
Well, the only piece to that is Snape did get Dumbledore's office.
Yeah.
He did. You're right about that.
And
but that was all part of the plan.
I know. It was part of the plan. So that's the only piece that I might quibble with. Everything else I like.
Yeah.
No,
Everything
right,
else I
right.
like.
Well, here's the real question then.
Okay.
How much of Dumbledore's going-ons with Snape do you think McGonagall knew?
None.
None? Okay.
None. Because when McGonagall and Snape fight in the next chapter, which I'm literally so fucking lit about, like I'm so fucking lit for that chapter. It's so good. I think that she's fighting with a genuine and pure rage.
Yeah.
Like she thinks that he's a guilty piece of shit.
Right.
I also think she might be screwing up the whole plan too. But
What do you
that's
mean?
another chapter.
Yeah, like Dumbledore's whole plan.
Yeah, I wonder if that was Snape's search and quest to try to find Harry in that moment wasn't to transfer the information he was supposed to transfer to Harry before Voldemort stormed the castle. to come get him rather than having to rely on memory tears, because memory tears is the next
Memory
chance
tears.
that he sees Harry and can transfer that information. I think McGonagall actually interrupted that, and Flitwick, chasing him out of the castle, stopped him from being able to share that information that he was supposed to share.
You mean in this book right now?
No, in the next the chapter you're talking about when they duel.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
To say that, I don't think McGonagall knew anything. I don't think McGonagall knew anything outside of what the rest of the Order of the Phoenix knew about Snape being an undercover agent in the Death Eaters.
I think that the only thing that McGonagall has that other Order of the Phoenix members don't have is we just talked about this in the last chapter, I think, that McGonagall and Snape, I think, had a genuine, partnership. I think they genuinely, worked together a lot and had a certain level of respect for each other. So I think that,
which is part of the reason that she gets so hurt by...
Yeah, more so than anyone else, she has a reason to be not only do I just trust Dumbledore's judgment, but I trust my own judgment, and I've been working with this guy for a long time, and I think underneath it all, he is good. And then she's proven wrong. You prove McGonagall wrong. You betray her.
How dare
You're gonna
you?
fucking die. You're gonna
die. Alas, what chapter are we in now?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, running. Which is what the Flight of the Prince is what that other chapter should be called, because he flies away.
Yeah, and this one is the sacking of Severus Snape, because it's don't come back. But then he does come back.
He does.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe, whatever. We can talk about it in the next book, I guess.
We'll get there.
They're all running down onto the grounds toward the gates. They're attacking Hagrid, which I don't even think he's doing anything. I think he's just fucking around in his house.
There's this weird ass trope in these books that Hagrid has to be attacked by a group of wizards that don't seem to understand, your spells aren't going to do anything.
They ran an article about how he has giant blood. The last time this happened. Oh no, that was after that too. How did they not know that he has giants?
I mean, they do, but I also don't think that they do a lot of fighting of giants.
Well, I just feel like that's maybe something is that their skin is impervious to...
Do these people know
spells?
A lot about anything?
Wow, great question. They know how to light a straw house on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and two, I can't believe I'm defending them in any way, but the way that Harry describes it in the text as he's running is Hagrid must have tried to stop them.
Yeah, from lighting his house on fire with his dog
from getting
inside.
out.
Oh, from getting out.
That's how he got roped into the fray. He was the barrier between them and the barrier.
Wow. I don't know why it's just giving me D&D. It's I cast a wall, but then it's I fucking cast a wall. And it's okay, well, now
we have
stuck
two
here.
walls.
I'm casting a fucking Hagrid, who is also a wall. Also never played D&D in my life.
Okay, well, you should. I think you'd be really good at it because it's not commentating on sports, which is something that you like.
There you go.
Go out and buy Baldur's Gate and give it a try, and you'll know whether or not you like it. True
dat. I'm literally sitting here talking to you guys just thinking about how I'm going to be playing Baldur's Gate after this. But I do think, speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like the author likes to give Hagrid opportunities to rage. And I can't tell, every other book or so, I think every other book, he gets a rage strength check, and then every other book he gets like a non-rage strength check where he has to carry something. But I think that I'm thinking about when Umbridge and them attacked his house or whatever and tried to take him to prison or whatever they did, and he hulks out, and I can't tell if I like that for his character because he's obviously a good guy who spends a lot of time being extremely gentle, and I'm is it cool that he gets to hulk out, or is it derivative of his character that he gets to hulk out? I don't know.
Well, there's a part of after reading the way that Rowling writes about different races and different different creatures and whatnot, there's a part that also gets real uncomfortable because it's like, let me activate my genetic advantage that I have. It feels weird whenever he like connects to his giant blood. It's like, well, let's not focus on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess if she had written, and then this is probably kind of what you were saying, Andrew, but like if she had written giants and gianthood in a way that was like generally celebratory, then like having him Hulk out giant mode, it's like, well, that's cool and fun. But since she wrote about them so horrifically and was like, they were too strong and stupid, all killed themselves, and it's like, oh man, I don't like that.
Don't like that at all.
I like it because it gives him a sense of, I think the one thing that I read about the inspiration of his character was a biker that she encountered in her life. That was just like a very like gentle man or whatever, but also
a lot of them are. A lot of them aren't.
And that's why I like I mean, there's 3 helmets behind me.
Oh,
so like I like the idea that it was inspired by like a gentle biker, but at the same time, like
he has the ability.
Yeah, don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want if you don't want to find out, don't fuck around. And these are the moments in the books for people to find out when it comes to Hagrid, because he's got it reminds me of my favorite musician is Brantley Gilbert, and he said it in an interview at one point in time. He's like, you know, those of us, and he's a big biker dude, and he says like the most of us that look like we can handle it, it's the last thing that we actually want to do.
Yeah.
So like, don't make us go there.
Oh my god, like Chin
I like
Po
that
from
Hagrid's
Mulan. My favorite character. He's
Sure.
the big one. He's the big one from Mulan. Okay, not everyone's seen Mulan 100 times, Christina.
He's the one who just wants to find the wife that can cook.
Which I respected.
It didn't hurt for me because I certainly can't cook.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, you have to give Hagrid something. I mean, he's not good at magic or smarts, so it's like he has to be strong, dude. His Constitution modifier needs to be extremely high. He's got to get through this.
He's got like a 19 con modifier.
Yeah. Which is why it's crazy that Harry is able to get him drunk this book. But he was already drunk, I think, when Harry got there.
Yeah, I think he was able to succeed that one on his own.
Yeah, Harry did nothing, actually.
Yeah, Hagrid's pretty good at getting drunk.
Right time.
Sure is. That's my guy. Okay, his house is on fire. Just as a reminder. He has so little in this world, guys.
His house is on fire, and somehow Fang is in the house, right? Like, it's a tiny little house. That is a giant dog. It should not be more than like a 2-second operation to remove it from said house. I'm just saying. Like,
yeah, I mean, dog scared might not go outside by itself. Here's something about me. When I was a kid, I was terrified of dogs. I didn't have a family dog. I missed a couple birthday parties because there was a dog about. I was very, very scared of dogs, which is embarrassing to me now as a friend to all creatures, big and small, teeth or no teeth. And so when these books came out, I had not had a dog. Maybe by the time the last one came out, I don't know. But like, I just had this picture of what a dog was, and I think that I like made assumptions about Fang's character based on the fact that he was a dog. But like reading back, I'm like, this dog's a fucking bitch. All through this series, this dog's a weenie. I love him to death. What a big doofus. Can't do anything. Doesn't do a single thing to help anyone. This whole series, he's just scared the whole time. I love him so much.
He's trying his best, okay? I think we need to focus more on the fact that apparently you're friends with like tapeworms and boat flies, because that is not cool.
It's cool. I can't see them with the naked eye because my vision's so bad. So
I think he's the perfect dog for Hagrid. Again,
yes, they
gentle,
balance each other.
Yeah, just a gentle dude that looks very, very rough.
Well, and if you're LOL,
fantastic.
If you're gonna have a dog who gets paralyzed with fear and needs to be carried out of a burning house, you better be big enough to carry that dog out of that house.
Exactly.
Like, we had to carry Cosita one time on a hiking trail because she didn't want to walk past a family, and that dog is 45 pounds, and it's like, good. I can carry that.
Success.
Success.
Yes.
A big dog, no. So Harry tries to stupefy Snape, and Snape finally turns around and starts deflecting everything. Why does Snape turn around instead of keep running? Is it the villain monologue?
It's partially the villain monologue, but it's also, I think, partially just being disappointed, right? Because, like, in a way, even though it's not been defense, this has been Snape's not protege, but student for a very long time. And I think he genuinely is just so frustrated at this point because he's like, come on, dude, you're not going to fucking hit me with that. You can't say it out loud. You can't. He's like just aggravated, right?
Yeah.
Like,
you're aggravating,
like,
Harry.
I just had to kill Dumbledore because of your dumb ass. And now, like, now you want to try and launch these spells at me stupidly? No, stop it. Be better. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of serves two purposes. One, well, maybe three. But one is make sure that Harry doesn't aim correct and, you know, me and Draco don't actually make it. Draco needs to get out of here so that Draco isn't killed. And I need to get out of here. And it's also, this is the two part. One, a kind of final lesson to leave Harry with. And also, like, there are Death Eaters behind Harry. So, oh, damn it, they can't kill him either, kind of thing. So it's almost like a last-ditch, you know, help Harry kind of thing. And also, the second piece of it is he's also still got to keep Dumbledore's plan going.
yeah.
And I think that part of Dumbledore's plan is that Harry has to hate Snape. And in this moment, Snape does anything and everything within his power to ensure that Harry hates him
Gonna walk
with
away with
every
hate in his
fiber
heart.
of his being. Yes.
Yeah.
Could it also be an element of Snape trying to make sure that Harry gets real humbled right before he's not going to have any, like, real guiding hands?
I think that it's like that. I think it's that, and at the same time, it's like the other side of that, where Snape's like, "You're gonna fucking kill us all. You genuinely. I'm not even mad about your dad anymore. You genuinely just
He is.
suck. Like,
I'm still going to bring it
but
up.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, because Harry really failed in the cave. Harry really failed up in the tower. Like, not that he had like a ton of options, but like Harry's just been.
Harry had no
down.
options in the tower.
Harry's not doing great.
I mean, he is. You're right. Okay, he had no options in the tower, but he is currently also, I think, making bad choices. Like, he just. I don't know if Snape knows what happened in the cave. I really don't know the depth to which, like, him and Dumbledore can communicate mentally at, like, distance. But whatever. I just feel like, as the reader, I'm like, oh man, this cannot be up to this guy by himself right now. That cannot be what we're doing.
This whole thing is Harry's fault. And that's why I think this chapter kind of breaks the series. And it breaks Harry as a hero.
Yeah. So one thing that y'all didn't mention about why Snape turns around and starts fighting is because Harry calls him a coward 16 times and Snape's just done the bravest thing of his entire life.
Yeah. Well, and also,
That's true.
like,
triggered.
you don't get to call someone a coward when they're, like, destroying you, right? Like, they are absolutely, completely, and utterly so in control of the situation that, like, that's all you can do, is he's just trying to piss them off. He's literally lobbing the only grenade he has with any amount of oomph to it. And it's to call Snape a coward, but it's just not even accurate.
It's not
It's just-
accurate.
Yeah.
It's like, will you please just shut the... Like, I just imagine Snape thinking, like, will you please just shut the fuck up? You're so... Like, you don't even realize how stupid you look right now.
Yeah, that's actually a big part of talking to children.
Yeah.
That's like most of what talking to children is. Like, you have no idea how stupid you look right now, and that's my burden for some reason. I mean, I said this a lot in the last chapter. I'll try not to harp on it, but like the finale of this book is just so incredible for Snape. Like, he's really, I think, like, his ultimate decision to like fully commit to killing Dumbledore and completing his debt to him is like so interesting. It's so noble. Like, it's so brave.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm not a Snape guy.
I'm not a
Snape
guy. That this couple of chapters is the whole thing to me. Because every other moment of the entire book series, I can't with him. And especially the Prince's Tale.
This is actually a prime example of why I get so frustrated with Snape. Because I may or may not have put this on social media and made people mad at me, but I think that I actually don't think that Severus Snape is a very compelling character in this series, but he could have been the most compelling character in this series. Okay. And the fact that he goes the entire series bullying children is what breaks it for me. If he was just a strict teacher and an asshole, he would have been the most compelling character in this entire series with this art. And this chapter is a prime example as to why. Right? But I can't look past the fact that, like, yeah, but it doesn't change the stripes. You know what I mean?
Child abuse
yeah, you can't,
and like his obsession with Harry's mom are both like very unforgivable to me.
Yeah, and that's why I care very little about this for Snape.
Yeah, I mean, I totally feel you.
Yeah, but it could be really, really, really good if I just didn't.
Yeah, if J.K. Rowling had committed to writing a truly morally gray character, she wouldn't have given him the unforgivable child abuse. And whatever, if she had written like the love thing for his mom better, that could have been compelling. As it is, it comes across extraordinarily creepy to me. Like a no from the start, and never like nothing ever changed between them.
Well, she tried to like start off writing him completely dark and irredeemable, and then turn him into like a compelling character. But the problem is that you've already hit irredeemable, and like that word means a certain thing, which is like you can't come back from as far as you went.
And actually, I've had to make that note as an editor before. Like, I've had to write that note and be like, hey, you don't have to tell me everything, but like, does this character turn out to be a good guy? Because what they're doing right now
is like, so bad that
so bad that they could never ever redeem themselves, and you shouldn't keep them on your team.
Yeah.
You know?
So sometimes the actions that you take just land you in sack of shitville, and once you're in sack of shitville, there is no recovery, right? You might be less of a sack of shit, but you're still a sack of shit, right? And that's
sack of shit.
The problem that you run into is that, because it's also like, it's very unartful the way that she tries to like ram this whole chapter about how he was like, he had this like passion about Lily, but like, again, it's just done poorly. It's not well executed, and it leaves more of a creepy factor, like you were saying, than an actual like romantic fact. Like, it's
zero
hard to,
romance there.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard to explain how that could even be a non-problematic romance. But like,
yeah, because like I think like obviously you guys get it, but like I just think that like reading it as a woman, and especially like ever when I first read this I was 14, but like especially after having lived my life, this guy's nothing but red flags. He's got the creepiest energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very creepy. Very. I think irredeemable was the correct way of putting him. And so when he does this super interesting shit, I'm like, but I feel nothing for you.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel you.
I
think this scene more than anything makes me wish he was like a better character. Cause like this is like all his character could have been is like right here at the finale. Throughout this whole book, frankly, he's been extremely interesting and chill in terms of child abuse, if I remember correctly. Because he's not teaching potions anymore.
Because he's happy, so it's okay for him to like not have to abuse children now.
Well, I think we just don't. Well, hang on. This is the book where he tries to sneak attack Harry in front of the entire class. Like
What,
literally
really?
tries to attack a student.
Wait, I don't remember that.
With a non-verbal like hex or whatever.
Yeah, indeed.
Because
Okay,
that was
back to me.
the Harry does a Protego and he says, no need to call me Sir, Professor.
No need to call me Sir, Professor. Oh,
It's the
absolutely
greatest
legendary.
greatest comeback that Harry has in the entire series. And that is, I mean, that's kind of rough. That is still a child that you are trying to attack. We don't know, and he's trying to do it like he's making a spectacle of it. He's like this. He's super excited about it.
That's
which
scary.
again, we're in a different chapter, mostly because this chapter is 5 freaking pages long, and it's a lot of running.
No, we're doing actually a really good job of stretching it.
But it's otherwise, I think we just don't spend a lot of time with Snape. He's kind of behind the scenes because he's the Half-Blood Prince. So like we're learning about Snape through the unknowingly learning about Snape, which by the way, he tells us in this. Does anybody care? Does anybody care about the Half-Blood Prince reveal?
So, okay, wait. Harry tries to cast Sectum Semper and Levi Corpus. So Snape, that's when he starts monologuing and he confesses to being the Half-Blood Prince.
Yes.
And I was going to raise the same question, Zach, like why? Like, so what?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Does anyone have a
Don't
Does
care.
anyone have a answer to that?
And is anyone really surprised? By this point, the argument has been laid out, and like you kind of know it's him, right? Am I crazy here?
I mean, it might be a reveal. Like, I can't say that when I first read this, I was like, oh, I knew it was Snape the whole time. But at the same time, it's happening within a chapter and within context of the book of like, who gives a shit? You just killed Dumbledore.
Dumbledore's dead.
Like, Dumbledore is dead right now. Like, I don't... Okay, you... Oh, yeah, there was a book.
And for everyone who's been wondering the last
was a
40
book.
years, it is I!
Yeah, like... And the book's been gone for a while.
That's
Like, he
true.
hid the book a long time ago within context of this book that we're reading. Don't...
He hid his book within the book that we're reading, which...
Right, like, how many chapters ago was that?
I feel like the main purpose the Half-Blood Prince serves is to double down on the feeling of betrayal at this climax, which I don't think is a good enough reason for the title of the book. You feel me?
Yeah, and it doesn't even, like, I don't get hung up on, like, the title of the book and the review. Like, it's just the timing in the moment is like, oh, right, there was the book. But, like, I don't care about that book right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting it now was sort of just, I care a lot less. If it was revealed, like, say it was revealed right before Harry went to the cave with Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Like, it could have packed a huge emotional punch in that moment. Then he blows up at Dumbledore about the fact that Snape was the reason that his parents were killed because of the prophecy thing. And then they go to the cave. Like, it compounds to this moment, and then he gets to face him.
It, like, would have added to why he was distracted and failing during the cave.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Yeah. Like, that, to me, and it's just something that popped into my head now, but, like, that would have been a way more impactful moment to have that reveal than now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dumbledore dying is the big thing to happen in this book, not
the Half-Blood Prince.
who made the notes in that book.
A lot of people who like this book have said that they do so because it is a very well executed self-contained mystery. And I think that the Half-Blood Prince like serves that purpose of being a fun and interesting what's going on here that like feels mostly fun and fine and just like slightly dangerous. It gets like escalatingly more dangerous. And like, it's like the main interesting thing about this book, I think. And so, but it doesn't,
other than Dumbledore dying?
It doesn't mesh well with like this grand plot stuff that's happening. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like they're not helping each other. Like the book plot and the series plot are not helping each other right now.
Right. The whole book comes off kind of as like Harry, honestly, like not being successful repeatedly for the first time. Right. And so there's a certain element to it as well that when you get to like the end of it, when Dumbledore dies, it's like the ultimate failure on his part, right? Like he didn't actually, I mean, it wasn't like his fault, but like
it totally feels like it's his fucking fault.
But it feels like it's his fault. And like,
yeah, because and it kind of is his fault because he could have taken a lot of better steps in the cave to make Dumbledore less fucked up right now.
Well, what could he have done differently in the cave? You keep going back to that, and I'm just curious, like, what...
Dumbledore kind of purposefully under-informed him.
Dumbledore 2 to 3 times, don't remember, 2 to 3 times told Harry to use fire. And Harry, when the time came to it, was like, what do I do? And then was doing... And here's the thing. They don't know. They don't learn etymology. They don't know what their spells are here to do. He's doing, like, bodily spells on, like, undead creatures that aren't going to stop at a mere laceration. And he just, like, was told what to do twice and didn't do it. Just make some fire, man. Are you a witch or not? God damn, I'm so sorry.
Devil's Snare goes all the way... the fire for Devil's Snare goes all the way back to the first book.
You're not wrong about that. I do have a question, though.
Okay.
Does Harry know how to make fire?
He literally must. Like, incendio!
We know that he's supposed to know how to make fire.
Incendio! If I know it, he should know it.
No, I was legitimately asking. I know he knows how to make water.
Okay, well, and here's where my video game history with the Harry Potter series messes me up because I'm pretty sure like in year 1, year 2 versions of the video games, they had Incendio.
Well, and is Incendio the same one that Hermione uses to create the...
That's her special fire.
Yeah, to set, what's his name, Snape on fire?
We don't know what she says. We don't get to hear it,
We don't actually get to hear it? Okay.
But it does seem to be like a custom fire. Like I think the phrasing is like Hermione had one of her neat little fires in a jar. Like it says that like she had developed it herself. Kind of like I'm sitting here making a crochet basket without a pattern. You know, us girls just out here figuring shit out.
You know,
just know how to do it. I just
wondered because both equally the same too.
Equally cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it was. Again, we're in the wrong chapter, but I think it's okay. Part of the we need to get to this ending, so we need Harry to not know how. Because if Dumbledore was telling him how to, he probably should have said the incantation is.
Oh my God! 6 years of school.
You know what I mean?
He was only a like world-renowned educator. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably should have. I mean, he was teaching up until the end if we take a look at his conversation with Draco. So it's like, yeah, I guess he could have said the incantation just in case you don't know.
Harry, we're going to do this spell a few times before going into the Death Cave because, you know, I don't trust you.
You might need it.
It's like when friends come over that we haven't hung out with a ton and I'm like, Sean, you remember Emma? And he's like, yeah, Emma, hey, it's great to see you. It's like, hey, Harry, you got to do that fire spell. You remember Incendio? And Harry's like, yeah, I did remember.
Yeah,
I did.
A sports analogy. It's like if the coach just like brought the team to the game and said, hey, run this play, but like they never actually had a practice.
Yeah.
And never actually went over that play. And he's like, why do you not know how to do this? It's like, well, because like
we've literally never done it before.
Okay,
we've literally never done this. I all I'm saying is I don't know a single moment in these books where Harry actually made fire come out of his wand on his own.
I know, but we skip over 6 straight years of school. We
You
gloss
do.
over it. I think that he has to learn how to make fire in that amount of time. It's a really important human function.
You would
That's how I
think,
feel.
but
That's how I feel.
alas.
Yeah.
You want to know why he got his ass kicked in this chapter, by the way?
Harry?
Because Snape is a tremendously more powerful wizard.
True dat.
Oh, please. No. Please don't think logically. No. How many spells, hexes, whatever, do you think that he casts in this chapter?
Harry?
Yeah.
4?
How many different ones, or how many different
just,
times?
Just how many? Just how many times? How many? He was active, right? Like he used his
he did
wand
3.
quite a bit.
I think he did 3. Like, it's really not a lot, I feel like.
Well, he did a couple of Crucios that were blocked. He did.
Oh, yeah. Which, like, it is kind of funny.
Yeah,
It's like,
I think he
Harry.
launched a few random, like, leg locks and stupefies out. I'm guessing, like, 7 to 10, somewhere
There were a
around
lot
there.
of there were a lot of Petrificus Totalises
Yeah.
that he was doing.
Petrificuses,
Guess what he
yeah.
didn't do?
A
Stun?
fire spell.
Fire spell.
Expelliarmus.
Wow, his bread and butter, he didn't
Not
do it.
a single crutch.
Because
was
he's here to
used.
kill / hurt you a lot. Like, he's mad now, and he means it.
Because nothing can stop a Harry Potter Expelliarmus spell.
I couldn't believe it.
If
I
he
couldn't
actually
believe it.
used it, the chapter would have been over.
Oh my god. And then Snape's wand would have belonged to Harry, or whatever.
Yeah, it blew my mind. I think I listened to the audiobook of this chapter 3 times before this, and on the second time through, I was like, I haven't heard him say Expelliarmus. How did he not
Wow.
use? And so the third time, I was like, nope, that was that spell. Nope, that was
That's
nope,
so surprising.
did not use it. Blew my mind.
Wow.
And that's why he got his ass kicked, because he didn't use Old Trusty.
Guys, I opened this second beer, which, again, I had a party last weekend and people left beers in my house. I don't know if I said that on the recording or beforehand, but this beer doesn't have a label on it.
Well, it's because it
Can you
doesn't
see
want
it?
you to know. It's mysterious.
And I think it should really go to show how much I love my friends that I was like, yeah, I'll drink it.
They actually just didn't know where your bathroom was.
That could be true. The color's right. But then they would have had to reseal the thing, the cap.
I
Do
have
you
a hammer.
remember unsealing it?
I sure do. I sure do remember unsealing it.
Does that ever happen to you? Do you ever like open something, like break the seal, and then come back to it 5 minutes later and like open it too easily, and you go, "Wait a minute, did I buy this unsealed? Did I do that?"
I just assume I'm a super strong boy who's really coming into latent super strength powers that are very old and were meant to show up when I was a child.
Same.
I think that's puberty.
One of these days.
Wow. Hagrid's house is on fire, guys.
It is.
That's true.
It is.
Snape is monologuing / confessing to being the Half-Blood Prince. Oh yeah, I asked in the Discord server if anyone cares. So at the end of the episode, let's circle back to that.
Okay.
Snape, he bitch slaps Harry back with magic, and then he runs and disapparates.
Well, thank you, Buckbeak.
Oh, Buckbeak.
Oh, Buck-
Which
He
I
shows
forgot
up out
about.
of nowhere. I kind
Yeah.
of love the cameo. What's she been
Yep.
up to, honey?
Just another case of everything happening to or for Harry, him not actually doing anything for himself.
True.
Sorry,
Buckbeak
I'm
should-
frustrated as hell with Harry
No,
in
I
this
know.
chapter.
He's not.
We all
He's
are.
not. He's
Yeah.
not. He's just not. He's being so stupid. I mean, okay. Have y'all ever acted out of pure rage? Like,
Oh, yeah.
do you get Harry's journey right now? Because I kind of, as much as I hate it, it's not like I've never been there.
I was 16.
Oh, no.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my frustration with Harry is not as much in the chapter. It is how he has caused the chapter.
Yeah, okay.
The reason that this chapter exists is because of Harry.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's a certain amount of like his failures throughout the year have also culminated at where we are right now, right? Like if he
I don't think just the year.
Well, but like for example, specifically if he'd gotten the memories from Slughorn earlier when he was supposed to, it would have been on this trip far earlier. It would not be the same night as everything else going down, and you might not have the same outcome, right?
Wow.
So
yeah. Well, and I wanted to get to this at some point in time, and now seems like a good a time as any.
Let's do it. We're taking every tangent, and I'm like super here for it. Let's never finish the chapter.
7 years later.
In my mind, there was two ways that this should have played out for the series. One, this is the chapter where Dumbledore informs Harry of the plan. Well, last chapter. Sorry. Last chapter would have been the chapter where Dumbledore informs Harry of the plan, how to destroy Horcruxes, Snape's actual role, like all of those things coming together and it being like a turning point in the plot against Voldemort.
Yeah, and that's the version where, as we were joking about in last week's episode, at the pivotal moment, Snape, instead of killing Dumbledore, throws him over his shoulder fireman style and marches him out of the tower with Whitney Houston playing in the background, and they all figure it out. That's the version that you just described, I feel.
Well, but even if Dumbledore has to die in the last chapter, because of the potion, he's not going to make it, like, whatever, but he level sets with Harry, look, Snape and I have been planning for this.
Okay.
This is his role. This is your role. This is what you need to do to make sure Voldemort dies. This is what he needs to do to make sure that you get to kill Voldemort. You two have to work together now.
This is like if Snape got to the tower before Draco and they could like chat about it.
Well, this is if Dumbledore and Harry would have actually been collaborating the way that they should have or could have if Harry hadn't failed at occlumency so bad and proven over the course of several years that he is very susceptible to Voldemort, that he is very impulsive, that he is very emotionally driven. And so Dumbledore hasn't been able to confide that into Harry. And so that wasn't an option to do. So it had to be the other option, which was, okay, Snape, Harry has to hate you now.
Yeah, because that's like what he's good at. He's already there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and because the worst thing that the worst thing that Dumbledore can do is reveal this to Harry, and then Voldemort just come and get that information, and then Snape is dead, and Harry has no like behind the scenes like helping force in Dumbledore's mind, right? Like he can't leave that up to chance and Harry's lack of skills as a wizard. And so he has to go the other way. And that's where I think part of this battle between Snape and Harry is happening. While I think my first reaction is, Snape is going to go on about his dad again because he's just obsessed with that and like can't ever get over that. And I can't stand Snape. But I think at that moment too, he's saying whatever he has to say that he knows is going to enrage Harry so badly that he is going to leave with a seething hatred of him. And that is, your dad was a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he should have kicked Harry's ass and then Harry go on his Rocky montage during camping and become a badass wizard boy who could actually go toe-to-toe with Snape of all people in a duel, let alone fucking Voldemort. But that doesn't happen either. So we actually need him to win on a technicality at the end because we get neither of those scenarios. And it's because Harry is just your average wizard, and everything that happens within this story happens either to him or for him.
Yep.
End rant.
Yeah. This is neither here nor there, but I remember for the longest time I was a big believer in the idea of like somehow the hand that was made for Wormtail was going to be part of what killed Voldemort. Because it talks about, like, one must die at the other's hands or whatever. And it's so, like, oddly specific, and then he literally, like, made a hand.
It sort of does.
It kills Wormtail. That's for sure.
And that's what allows them to, like, escape.
Yeah.
True.
But,
It's all connected because it's all serving Harry.
Yeah, I think part of it is the frustration because Dumbledore catches a lot of shrapnel, particularly in this Harry's not prepared,
yeah.
and a lot of that is on Dumbledore for not preparing him. But at the same time, there were certain things that Dumbledore just couldn't share, because Harry wasn't ready for them yet.
Yeah.
I think I just still would have told him if the stakes were this high. You know?
I don't think I know what I would do, which is part of the reason
He
I
knows
don't
he's
think I'm
dying.
ever going to be a
He knows he's
headmaster of
dying.
a
Like, you gotta get the
wizarding
information
school.
off here. Whatever, man.
Yeah, I
like how you say
one
that so exasperated, as if we've all been in this scenario. Like,
Right.
come
You know-
on,
you know the
this is a
feeling.
normal thing.
right. The Snape thing is like, I get it.
Yeah.
You got to keep that card in play. The one that I don't think you can forgive, I guess, Dumbledore of not passing on the information is like, how do you kill a Horcrux?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, especially when it turns out the answer is like, well, there's actually like a bunch of different answers.
And they're all in this school.
Yeah, and they all involve like weapons and fire and
Hey,
a
man,
school.
Fire!
if you ever need anything, if you ever need to destroy anything, I think the Sword of Gryffindor would probably be really good at that. Just in case you're wondering, it's right here in this case. You actually are welcome to look at it whenever you want to.
It's a really handy thing that you drew this out of a fucking hat a few years ago.
Literally.
Yeah. Anyway, and this is the chapter. Like, because of that, this is the chapter that like kind of culminates in like, this is the chapter that breaks Harry as a hero for me. Because of like, it's all laid out in this scenario. He is so bad in this duel against Snape. Like,
He really is.
Yeah.
the idea that he's going to be the savior and kill Voldemort head to head in any scenario, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but like Harry's really just way too emotional.
Well, he's not good at magic at
He's
this
not
level.
good at magic for sure, but he's also like, I don't think doing anything properly or thoughtfully at all because he's in a blind rage.
Yeah.
I agree
I've
with you.
been there
and
before. That's how you end up like throwing your own phone and breaking it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
He's and people will throw whatever they do at their computer screens or whatever when I say he's not good at magic because, well, he taught the DADA. He is good at using magic to like protect and get out of situations. He's very natural at that, and he's very natural at like imparting the confidence in others to learn it as well. He does that really well. He would make a great defense against the dark arts teacher if the books had decided to go that route, as they should have.
He's
But
skilled, he's not smart.
Well,
Sure.
but he's also, he is not good in a sense of
Yeah.
going toe to toe and dueling somebody.
Well, he lost that year of school to theory when Umbridge was the defense
Right,
against
that
the dark
was
arts
the one.
teacher.
That was the one.
No, you're right. Like he really hasn't had much practical application. And thinking back to previous climaxes of all the other books, he does do a lot of running, let's say. He's a runner. That's cool. You got to do that while you're still quick enough to get away, kid.
Yep.
It's the juxtaposition between like, okay, you can get out of situations and stay alive, but can you kill?
Yeah, like, are you going to handle this?
Yeah, and he can't kill, and he can't by the end of the series either.
True.
And that's where it's like, that's where the
Hermione
technicality comes in.
And the technicality.
I would absolutely adore if there was like an alternative version of book 5 that was written by members of the DA who weren't like in his immediate friend group, who
Like
had
Ernie
to like
Macmillan.
right, who were like
My boy.
explain that like the way that he teaches things is horribly inept and he's actually terrible at the job Because he's like, well, what you do is you just like do the thing. So like you like cast the spell and you do it like boo, and people are like,
I think
what
you're
does
just
that
remembering
mean?
the movie. Yeah, I think you're just remembering the movie where try it like this.
One of the funniest like tropes in movies to me is like those kinds of montages. He's like not Harry Potter in that Dumbledore's army scene is like you must always remember to believe in yourself, and it's only when we all fight together. And he's like adjusting people's posture and like giving them thumbs up while he's doing this, and it's like you're not doing anything
at all.
You're not
Which
doing
makes sense
right
because
now.
you're not actually a teacher. Like
He's a coach.
Surprise,
Like-
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. There are people who are really good at this, and we call them teachers.
Yeah.
And like we pay them to do that job because they're very good at it.
And they're trained.
And they're
so
trained, and they know
we
what
should
they're
pay them
doing.
so much more.
So much more. And
Yeah.
that's a thing. And like it turns out that if you're just a random 15-year-old boy, you're probably not a great teacher.
True.
Probably not, but those kids learned it.
They,
Right? Like, and
that
they
is
use
true.
it.
That is
And there are kids that are there right now using stuff that he taught them to stay alive right now. There are kids who use it in the next book during like the big battle to like stay alive right then. But I think that's the key. It's to stay alive, to
Stay
protect
alive.
yourself, to
Yeah.
defend yourself against dark arts. It's not.
All he has is trauma responses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not stand toe to toe with somebody and say, oh no, one of us is walking away from this, and it's gonna be me. Like those are two different things, and Harry doesn't have that second one, and he never like develops it.
Yeah. Okay, guys. We put out the fire on
did.
Hagrid's house. Hagrid puts it
With
out
his umbrella, he just has his umbrella handy. By the way,
I know, like, I really want to know more about the umbrella. Like, I hope he uses it all the time and just not usually in front of Harry, which is why we don't usually see it.
I hope he uses it and then turns to a camera that isn't there and says, secrets.
Oh my God.
And that's like Hagrid's thing is he like uses it in front of people and then just turns to a camera that isn't there. And everyone's like, Hagrid, are you... Oh, you just have this one, buddy. I'm going to look the other direction.
Sometimes I do like turn and make. Sometimes when like Sean says something like really stupid or whatever, and I'm just alone. I definitely turn and look at the camera, and I'm like,
try to find
Do
it.
you guys believe this?
You're just a character on The Office at all times.
Exactly. I'm like, God damn. I wish I had an audience for this.
I think every picture that I'm in, I have the Jim smirk. Like all of them, so I get it.
Okay, so Hagrid's like, what's happening? And Harry takes a full page to get out the words that Snape killed Dumbledore.
It's not good. It's not like moving. It's just like, it's almost comical, right? Because he's like, Hagrid, Dumbledore. He's, oh yeah, I can't wait to see Dumbledore because he's going to put out my house and fix everything right. No, Hagrid, he's dead. Who's dead? What? Well, I'm sure Dumbledore
It's
could
like
help
who's on first.
Yeah. It's just like
Yeah, it is a little funny.
every little time he's like, no, Dumbledore is dead. What? No, you must have heard something wrong. Like,
It's very Hagrid.
What makes you say that?
Harry, don't say
Yeah.
something like that. Anyway.
It's really kind of wild.
Yeah, it's
like,
a
I don't know.
painful part
I would
of the
trust a
chapter.
kid who said that to me. I'd be like, okay, well, let's investigate that.
This seems like something we need to go over.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm like an idiot, and sometimes I just write down stuff in a way that is really dumb, and then I look at it later. So I wrote down, Hagrid is hesitant to believe it.
That's a way to put it.
Such a wild understatement. Like, he just absolutely refuses to even remotely consider it as a real concept.
And he keeps cutting Harry off too, where it's just like, let him get the words out, my guy.
Yeah, like, listen to this kid.
Listen to your heart.
Nobody's listened to him this entire book, and that's why we're here.
I know. But they do ultimately walk up to the school, and like people are huddling around something on the lawn. Okay, guys, I gotta ask you, Radio Mike brought this up in last week's episode. He didn't phrase it quite like this, but don't you think Dumbledore would have splatted at that height? Don't you think there would have been some ugliness down here?
He's landing on grass, right?
Yeah,
but I don't know the last time you fell onto, like, it's
grass
still pretty hard underneath the
dirt,
couple inches
Hard,
of.
but I think it takes a lot more to. Humans aren't designed to splat, right? So it takes a lot to make a splat.
What's the soil like?
Because I mean, you figure people have survived being
Scotland,
like sucked out of airplanes and shit, like.
But landing on like Virginia clay, that'll kill you.
Well, yeah, but that's Virginia clay. That's not like grass.
Well, I think it depends on what your definition of splat is. Right?
Like, don't
did he become goo? No.
I don't think he became
would there
goo,
be
but
blood?
Don't you
Yes.
think, like, they kind of just act like he's just sleeping? I'm not joking. Like, he's
they
just laying
specify,
there.
besides the fact that his limbs are, like, splayed in the wrong directions and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which, like, kind of makes it sound more like a cockroach.
Yeah, I truly think that this was the attempt to not make the scene gruesome to read for the reader.
Totally.
Like,
So what I'm hearing is that you do think realistically it would have been grosser, but it's just kind of glossed over for children. Is that right?
Yeah, because I think what does it say? Like, apart from the strange like ways that his limbs are split, I think that is supposed to basically tell us they're like very, very broken.
Okay.
Well, like,
you know what I mean? Like,
they're
like, his body is broken, but he looks at peace, and they're not going to be like, oh, he's laying in a pool of blood with every limb, and there's bones sticking out of some of his. You know what I mean? Like, they just didn't go there for the audience.
How tall of a fall are we talking?
It's the top of the tallest tower of Hogwarts.
Right. But like, how tall? That's what I'm saying is I don't know.
I mean, it's a castle.
10 stories tall, maybe. Like, it's
See,
up
if it's
there.
only 10 stories, I don't think that's splat at all.
Oh.
Well, again, I
stories,
think it depends on your.
It could be 20 stories. I don't know.
But I think generally speaking, bones can be broken a lot easier than for like true like cartoon levels of sport.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think we're
like.
I
think
we're
you
there.
almost need like concrete and like a
100
much
stories.
higher. Well, like at least a few dozen
Okay.
to like get full on splat. Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We don't have to linger on it any further.
I think there was realism level of splat that just wasn't described.
I feel you. Like, not in detail.
Yeah, but I don't think he's turning to goo.
Just kids like puking in the corner the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, regardless, he's dead. He's definitely dead. He's
very dead.
There he is. He's dead.
Very much dead.
Yes.
Very dead. Yeah.
And Harry just kind of like kneels there for a while. And then he realizes he's kneeling on the locket after a long time. So he takes it out, he takes a look, and it says he knows right away that something's wrong. It doesn't look the way that he remembers from the memory. And there's a piece of paper inside. I literally put in my notes, just read it. Page 609. Bitch, I don't have my book. Who do you think I am? But it's like, fuck you. I stole your locket. I don't know what to do with it. Love, Regulus Black.
I figured out your secret, and I'm hoping that when someone way more powerful and capable than me fights you, you're not immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Love you,
funniest-
Regulus. Rab.
That's the funniest part of this to me is it starts with, I want you to know that I was the one who discovered your secret.
So
and
let
then
me
he
put my
signs it his
initials.
initials and not his name.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Well, it's like,
you're right.
Is there a scenario where
Does he
Voldemort
go by
actually
RAB?
recognizes Regulus Black? Like, do any of us
really
think that
do
he
not
would
know.
actually know? Because I genuinely think he would have just sat there and been like, "Who the hell is RAB? Does anyone know an RAB?"
Yeah, he wouldn't have had a clue who R.A.B. was. He might have, because he was a Death Eater.
Yeah.
But
he checked his Rolodex. He was like,
yeah,
because this was like, what, like 86 or whatever. Like it was
a long time ago. Yeah, it's wild. It's just the silliest thing, but I want you to know it was I, because, I'm dying right now. This is my last moment of breath, and I want you to know, signed, you're never going to know.
Signed,
your secret
not my
admirer.
name.
Yeah, not me. It was I, Regulus Arcturus Black, is how that would have actually gone.
Because otherwise, Voldemort
and that's a good name.
Then,
you got to sign that name in full every time. It's very sexy.
And then you still have the mystery, because Harry can be like,
who's that?
Who the fuck
is that? Well, and like, otherwise, I'm just imagining Voldemort looking over at like Bellatrix, like, do we know an R.A.B.? Who's an R.A.B.?
Yeah. No.
Is this your sister? Is that who this? No. Okay.
No clue. Because Harry doesn't Harry doesn't remember the name Regulus until he's staring at it on the.
He's literally staring directly at it.
Yeah. He's heard it before, but he's not in that moment going to be like, "Oh, I totally know who that is."
Guys, look at this basket I've been crocheting. Isn't that cool?
You have made a basket.
It's also very, very clear through audio format.
Yeah.
Well,
the fans will love it.
I guess I meant you guys, not all you guys.
Okay, guys.
So it wasn't even a Horcrux. Dumbledore
all a waste.
Died, and it's not even a Horcrux, and that's the
and it's not destroyed.
Yeah.
That's the taste we have in our mouths right now.
And zero down and zero more down. So same to go.
Okay,
Great use of resources.
Yeah, exactly. So I asked 40 minutes ago in the Discord, honest question, who cares if Snape is the Half-Blood Prince and why? And the only person who's answered is Sam. Love you, Sam, from Content and Capable, who said, upon retrospect, I agree. But Harry obsessing over it made you care so much. So that's our only insight.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Well done,
it's so
Sam.
funny because I was like, oh, everyone's going to answer this. But then I just, they did not see it or have enough time. But I'm sure we'll get some vibrant discourse going on in there because of that conversation.
And yet
topic.
Discord members, you all remember a few weeks ago when the conversation just went crazy a little bit after 9 o'clock at night.
Well, and Sam's answering from the future, even so.
That's true.
Just dub in and edit here.
In the future.
Yeah, just dub in and edit here of all the 76 more responses that we got since then.
Sam, tell me the lottery numbers.
Y'all, I can't believe we've managed to talk about this chapter for 90 minutes.
Let's keep going. So,
I really when I first started reading it, let's say 78 minutes ago, I was like, I need to read this slower. We're blasting through this, but we really made it happen, and I'm proud of us. Zach,
well done.
Is there anything that we didn't get to talk about that you wanted to, or any favorite moments or anything you wanted to bring up again before we wrap it up?
I actually have a thing, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because it does go back to, again, me saying that Harry doesn't develop into the hero in this story.
Okay.
This should have been in the movie. What we got in the movie was Bellatrix battling Silverware. But this should have been in the movie.
Wait, what do you mean? So
in the end of the Half-Blood Prince movie, Dumbledore dies. It's Bellatrix and Snape, and they are running through, and they go through the Great Hall, and Bellatrix stands on the tables, kicks over some cups, and goes, ah, and breaks glass.
Okay, it's all coming
That's
back.
the battle portion of this chapter, and then they get to Hagrid's. Bellatrix catches it on fire. Snape does the reveal. It's Bellatrix that Crucio's Harry, and he says, "No, he belongs to the Dark Lord."
Another
blah, 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 blah.
time that the film said that we're gonna make this irredeemable character redeemable.
Yep.
Well, it's
by taking spells away from Snape and making Bellatrix do them.
But it was so. All of the whatever stuff that I've seen from behind the scenes is well, we couldn't put a battle at Hogwarts in the 6th movie because the battle at Hogwarts is the climax
Gotta
of
save
this
that budget,
entire
baby.
movie
This
series.
This isn't even a battle.
it's-
It's like a little tiff.
Yeah.
Well, right, but that's the to me that's the reason. This is what Harry does in that battle too. He just has Harry and Ron with him running around while everybody fights, and it's like it really is like this exact same thing twice.
Yeah,
and if Harry would have like become the hero, that battle at Hogwarts the second time would have gone completely different, and it wouldn't be the same scene. Like, I mean, granted, they could have saved some money because they could have just like, shot it once, but that's
wow.
But that bugs me because this would have been a great ending to the 6th movie, but we don't get it. And in retrospect, it's because they couldn't have the same thing twice, and it kind of would have been the same thing twice.
Interesting.
And if he was a real hero, it would have gone not the same thing twice. Grow, my child, grow. Just develop.
Well,
Get better.
I mean, not to drag this out, but like I think that it shows he does grow because he sacrifices himself like very undramatically in the end. It's not the sacrificing, it's the undramaticness of the sacrifice where I'm like, you have grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of his growth is mental. He is the prototypical hero like in spirit embodiment.
Yeah,
is
John, what's his name?
His characteristics.
Joseph Campbell's the
Hero
the
cycle.
hero. The hero's
Yeah, he's-
journey.
He is everything that you want to root for in a hero. At his makeup of, him as a person, of his perseverance, what he overcomes in his life, like all of those notes are all there. What's not is his magical abilities to do the thing he's supposed to actually do.
Sure. Not. I mean, he doesn't pay attention in class. He doesn't. He doesn't have skills. He literally is like, ew, school, and it's like, hey, man, why don't you just?
You literally
why don't
got
you just be
opened
grateful
up.
for what you have?
Yeah, you got opened up to a magical world, literally the likes of which you could never imagine, and you're just gonna be like, I don't want to do homework.
He doesn't want
Quidditch,
to.
bro. Quidditch is life.
Yeah.
We didn't get any Quidditch in this chapter.
And that's one of the good things about it.
One of its strongest points, if we're being honest.
Hey, Quidditch is a great sport if, the Seeker doesn't exist.
Quidditch
Anyways,
is a great sport if you're there for the laughs. Andrew, do you have any final thoughts about this chapter?
Just keep running. Cardio is important. You got a stitch in your chest, but you got to keep going. That's. Ooh, if you run fast enough, maybe all of your mistakes and pain will stay in the past, and
Dude,
you
it's
won't
true.
have to deal with it.
That's why I run, for sure. Straight up. That's exactly why.
So outrun those emotions, folks.
maybe I should take
Hell
up
yeah.
running.
Let's move on to plugs. Zach, where can the people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so belatedbinge.com is where the Harry Potter stuff lives, as well as other stuff. I also do basketball stuff that probably nobody listening to this podcast cares about.
Maybe
but,
like 1 to 4 people who listen to this podcast.
A solid
just
4,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah, well, it's called basketball if you want to, like sketch ball. Mm-hmm. And I'll explain that to reach out and I'll explain it.
Okay.
Because that's the 4 people that care.
Hell yeah. And definitely listen to Belated Binge. And I've been on a couple episodes. I'm not saying
Very recently, actually.
I'm not saying those are like the better episodes, but I'm just saying that they could be a starting point for you if you're looking to sample, a little sampler.
They're quite great episodes. They're also back-to-back episodes.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Which
I
is
love
awesome.
that. I think that because it feels crazy. I talk about every single one of these chapters, but it feels crazy to think about coming and talking about just one. Like a chapter like this, Zach, I can't believe you just came and talked about only this chapter. Like starting at like the most like emotional, like crazy level and just like spiraling from there.
Maybe that's why I was giving Harry shit in this chat, because I hadn't, felt the weight of him the entire
Interesting.
book.
That's interesting. That might be like
Perhaps.
a very real thing. And what's something that you've been watching or reading or listening to lately you think that our listeners might enjoy?
I honestly don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That is a perfectly acceptable answer.
You're allowed.
Well, I'll give you the one that I said to you on one of our previous episodes on my podcast. If you haven't watched it because you don't like motorcycles, we talked about Hagrid in this one too, big old burly biker, you should watch Sons of Anarchy, because it is Hamlet on motorcycles. And if you are into like the story art, it does not take much to get past the bikes and bullets of it all to realize there is a lot more there than the fact that they wear leather vests. And I don't think everybody gives it that chance. So do that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Andrew, what's your plug this week?
Well, it's January, which means it's time for my my yearly rewatch of The West Wing. And man,
That's why you did your PowerPoint about it. You were thinking about it. We had a PowerPoint party and it was really fun.
And I surprised everyone by doing
Not
The West
doing
Wing.
K-pop?
Yeah. Got to zig when people think you're going to zag. What can I say? But yeah, no, I highly recommend watching it at least one time. At least seasons 1 through 4. At least once in your life. So now might be a good time to do that.
I'm going to recommend a PowerPoint party, because that's certainly not one that I've ever been invited to.
Was
really
fantastic and has released one of the greatest reactions I've ever seen anyone have to anything. And I love it.
Are you talking about that video of Rachel gaping?
Oh my God. It is just chef's kiss. Just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We had some really good presentations. I did mine about Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, which was not nearly as funny, but definitely very informative. We had someone do a presentation about how to die in weird ways in The Sims. My friend Courtney did hers about pucking, which is apparently a thing that is
just
real.
Casually drop that, Can we talk about the person that had the funniest slide of the night? Grace?
Which one? No.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, that's why I asked.
It's
that's
so funny. No, she Grace brought her new boyfriend. She would hate it. Hey, Grace, if you're listening, I'm telling everyone you have a new boyfriend. But
Congratulations.
She brought her new boyfriend to the PowerPoint
I hope it's going
party.
well still.
And then when she started presenting, her first slide said everything I know about Chris.
boyfriend.
And we were like, is this what your presentation is about? But it wasn't. It was a prank,
not.
and it was extremely
amazing.
funny. It was
really good.
so fucking funny. The room was like dead silent, and we were like, okay,
Oh no.
girl.
Oh no.
That's really good.
It was fucking hysterical. It was
No,
one of the
and her
funniest things I've ever
presentation,
seen.
ultimately, Grace's presentation was
funny.
something
Yeah.
along the, I'm not like exactly getting it right, but it was like specific aspects of scientific subjects that I don't understand.
Yeah, big concepts I don't get.
And it was like, how planes stay in sky?
Yeah.
I don't know, girl.
Big ships, huh?
And doesn't Arthur Weasley, isn't that like his greatest ambition or whatever, is to find out how
that is
airplanes
his
stay up?
favorite.
Fly. Yeah.
That's very funny.
We can bring anything back to Harry Potter, y'all.
There we
Guys,
go.
I think, so my basket is like pretty short and lopsided, so I think I accidentally made a cat bed that only Penny can fit in because she's my smallest cat.
Well, you
I
just
wonder if she can
subconsciously wanted there to be another cat bed for Penny.
It's really
Yeah.
lumpy. The bitch
Yeah.
is cold, okay? Update about my cat Penny. The bitch is cold. She sleeps on top of my heat vents with her face pressed against the metal because the bitch is cold. She forgets what things in the house have heat, electric heat that I bought for her, and she won't sleep on them because she's like, that looks ugly. I hate it. But it's like, this has a heat pad for you. And she's like, I'll sleep on the metal. Great.
Sounds like a cat.
Yeah.
All right. I've been your host, Christina. You know where to find me, and I don't have anything to plug this week, guys. I haven't been doing anything other than playing Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm going to take a pass. You know what? almost the end of season 6 of this podcast. I don't think I've ever taken a pass, so I'm using it now. My homework pass.
The one pass you get for the entire series.
I got nothing.
I'm actually disappointed in you.
Play Baldur's Gate with your partner. It's really fun.
For 3 weeks in a row.
There you go. That's a plug.
All right. Thank you so much, Zach, I feel like whenever you come on the podcast, we really do get into like some nitty gritty, like really like big plot stuff. And I love it. So thank you so much for coming on.
I'm just glad that you still want me to come do this.
Well, is it right that the first episode you ever did was the Veritaserum episode? Or did you come on before that?
That is 100% accurate.
So you like set this precedent of like, I will stay on the call for 2 hours and I will talk about this really obscure stuff. Like, so I'm very grateful for your time and energy.
Happy to be of service. Thank you for having me and letting me talk to these people that still listen to this stuff at this point of minute 177 D12.
Wow, good math.
Thanks.
177.12.
And Andrew, as always, thank you for being a pal.
You are so welcome. Thank you for being a pal.
Anytime.
Woohoo!
That's it, potheads. Thanks for listening to the Restricted Section. This podcast is produced and hosted by me, Christina Kahn. Our theme music was produced by Ryan Kahn. Our logo was designed by Michael Hardison. Please connect with us on Twitter @RestrictedPod, on Instagram @RestrictedSectionPod, on Facebook @RestrictedSectionPod, or in our Facebook group, The Restricted Section Detention Crew. Join our Patreon to get access to our Discord server, our bonus episodes, and other cool perks. We're also very happy to be a member of Deus Ex Media, where all you fucking nerds can find all kinds of fandom podcasts to suit your fancy. I'm Christina Kahn.
And I'm Leela Hilton.
And this is Burn Before Reading,
the podcast about shiterature.
We're here to examine the terrible writing we did when we were younger.
Like that school project you were really proud of.
Or that poem you wrote when you got dumped.
Well, how about that apology letter you wrote to your mom when you got into that fight?
Or the song you recorded before you knew how to write music.
Okay, don't at me. And we're here to talk about other cringy literary topics along the way.
Like the Library of Alexandria.
And Dewey Decimal.
His name was Melville Dewey.
Oh, well, do we want to get the clips rolling?
I don't think I ever recovered from this in terms of being cool.
Why did I say any of this?
I do like the drama.
So there is actually quite a bit to unpack here.
Oh, all this drama was so addictive as a teenager.
There's no punctuation to it. I'll start with that.
I actually have no memory of this.
There were so many lies that I was telling it.
It's not terrible.
No one really taught me how to write a good short story.
That was a journey.
Listen to Burn Before Reading
every Wednesday, wherever pods are cast.
When you record one every 7 or 8 weeks, it's always this fun moment of I wonder what just happened.
Oh.
Do you think I should go back and listen to it? Nah, I'll be fine. And then you start listening to the one that you're about to record and you're like, oh, yeah, one or two things happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely had to make sure that I listened to the previous chapter just to make sure that I was in the right book to start with.
Sure, yeah.
And then I was like, maybe I should listen to the next. No, I don't need to listen to the next one.
Deus Ex Media.